What's up, party people? Zach Miller here for another edition of Zach Miller Says. We got Jay Resio here from Backer Nation. I met Jay from Chris Jones, who's a mutual friend who I've been on his show. He's been on mine. He's actually the editor of my book. And he introduced the two of us together, and so I was super excited and love having conversations with people that are from introduction. So Jay is the founder of Backer Nation. So he went through a bunch of trials and tribulations himself with some back problems and didn't really like the answers that he got. So he created a business to try and help solve that problem through content. We talk about how to get the content to be seen, to get the results that you want, and then ultimately to help people. So super excited to bring Jay on the show. And if you guys are interested in checking him out, look for all the links in the show notes or just go to backernation.com. Without further ado, Jay, let's go. You have been in the business world a couple of times, starting your own businesses. What is it about entrepreneurship, owning your own business, that's something that intrigues you, excites you, or keeps you going?
Yeah, I think it's just the pure taking an idea from creation to execution. I love innovating, envisioning things, trying to solve problems. So, regardless of the industry, I've always been attracted to kind of problem solving and what it takes to create the solution.
It seems like our world is now allowing, and allowing is probably a wrong word, but allowing entrepreneurship where when I grew up, and I'm pretty sure that when you grew up, entrepreneurship was kind of frowned upon. It wasn't like this sexy thing. It wasn't this thing. It wasn't this avenue. How did you first get introduced to something that we weren't necessarily introduced to in our childhoods?
Well, actually, I think I kind of was introduced to entrepreneurship in my childhood, and it was because my grandparents owned their own doll manufacturing business. So I would go down there, work with them. I saw kind of the ups and downs of owning your own business, but for sure, it definitely was something that intrigued me because they got to be your own boss, create your own solutions, grow your business. So I think that they were kind of the early influence, I think, when it came to entrepreneuring.
What kind of conversations would you have with them about this that intrigued you about it? Because it is different then. So you were introduced to it, which is great. So would you like ask them certain questions about business? Like how did you really engage with them to learn more about that side of the world?
I think it really was just diving into all the aspects of the business from behind the scenes, right? So it was, I would help them, make the plaster molds for the dolls, go with them on different conferences, help them out with some of their marketing stuff. Although I wasn't really kind of marketing oriented at that time, but for sure, kind of seeing behind the scenes stuff. So I'd have some conversations with my grandparents. My grandfather was kind of the mastermind behind the business from the doll making perspective, but he was kind of like the vision. He wasn't really the business guy. He was really kind of the innovator and the one that can kind of create the molds and the stuff on the back end.
You're doing Backer Nation now. What number business is that for you?
Three.
Okay. What made you keep doing this? What made you want to do a third time?
I think this go around was kind of out of necessity. And I say that because I myself have had my ups and downs when it comes to back pain. I've had four back surgeries, four herniations on the same disc, three microdiscectomies, and my last surgery was last year, a disc replacement. And as I went through my journey trying to kind of figure things out, several years of back pain, going to doctor's appointments, treatments, physical therapist, massage therapist, trying to figure out how I get back to the quality of life that I wanted, I realized that there really wasn't anything out there that informed and guided individuals through that process. I had to learn this on my own. And it was kind of after my second surgery, I realized, this industry is pretty fragmented. There's a lot of holes. there could be something better. And obviously, being an entrepreneur, I was like, well, I'm going to create this myself. So I always say now that if it wasn't for my back pain, I wouldn't have created Backer Nation. But if it wasn't for Backer Nation, I wouldn't be in the spot that I am right now, enjoying life and being pain free.
Very interesting. So, give me the quick elevator pitch of what is Backer Nation.
So we are a digital health platform for back pain and spine conditions, where we're focusing on four main areas: knowledge, community, experts, and digital therapeutics. So our long-term goal is to create the digital therapeutics platform where you can go and communicate and collaborate with all of your care team, a back wellness, a coach, and really get to the point where you figure out what the problem is, what the treatment plan is, and kind of pain to prosperity.
The first thing that comes to mind, and I think that a lot of people will probably think this too, is they say, okay, but you're not a back expert, you're not a health expert, or maybe you are, but you're not that thing, so how could you provide this information to someone?
I would like to think after my four surgeries and a decade of pain, I do consider myself a back expert. Sure, I don't have the MD or PhD to go with it, but I didn't need that to kind of go through the grunt to get to this point. You're right. I'm never going to be the person that says, "Hey, here's the medical advice that you need," because we're going to partner with the physicians and doctors and the medical experts that are going to provide that information and those treatment plans and whatnot. What I consider myself as kind of the facilitator of that, where we're creating the platform that allows that communication and collaboration to occur.
I love that answer. I was hoping for something like that because I think oftentimes people put too much emphasis on a degree, right? And so many people, maybe in the medical world it's a little different, but so many people are, oh, I have a business degree, I have an MBA, that means I can be a successful business owner. And to me, that's just not the truth. It's a lot harder. And when you're living something like this and have lived it for over a decade, I think that you have gone through a lot. And so I really appreciate that answer. So there's four levels: knowledge, community, experts, and digital therapeutics. How'd you guys come up with those four and kind of break down each one of them?
So the four really was kind of looking back on my journey as well as having conversations literally with thousands and thousands of people over the past several years. After my first herniation and going through 11 months of treatments and excruciating pain, I would troll the forums online, and not in a bad way, just troll them and look at them and try to understand what people were going through, find answers for myself, so it's forums, Facebook groups, what have you. And I realized that there were certain pain points that people had when it came to discovering the knowledge they needed to get from point A to point B. So really, this was kind of evolved over time to get to those four silos, but it kind of shows the necessary information and resources needed to get from discovery of your condition or your pain to the treatment to managing and prosperity. So knowledge really is, people love to go online and find information, and oftentimes it could be rather difficult to find the information that you need. So we want to create the biggest and best knowledge base of all things back pain and spine. So from conditions to treatments to understanding every aspect of it. The community is
Hold on. So how do you? That's a crazy audacious goal. I love it. How do you do that though? So you want people to be able to find information where you struggled before, where you had to go through Facebook groups and different forums online, and you had thousands of conversations with people. And basically what it sounds like is you're sick and tired of having those same conversations over and over again, when you wanted to be able to create a platform where that knowledge could be there so everyone could see it. Instead of having a one-on-one conversation, it could be one to many, one to infinity, basically. But how do you become that directory of knowledgeable information so that people find you that first time, specifically with Backer Nation and that knowledge part? How do you guys kind of get in front of all those people so that you are the authority in that piece?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of a couple things. One, we want to continue to partner with the best of the best experts out there, from surgeons to doctors to chiropractors, massage therapists. So, we're continuing to build our network of individuals that we work with from that perspective. And the second part is, it doesn't happen overnight, obviously. So, we want to continue to seed our platform with good content, and continue to get better and better over time. And, once that content's out there, it gets picked up by search engines and various other places. So we want to continue to spread our tentacles, so to speak, online where we're our content accessible through the search engines, social media, what have you. So, along with having great content, we want to make sure that we have the credibility behind it, and we're building the kind of the A team of the individuals that can help make that happen.
Very cool. And for the community aspect, what's involved in that?
So really, that's kind of like what I went through from the forums and the Facebook groups and whatnot. I learned a lot from my peers, kind of the people that have been there prior to me, with success stories, failures, what have you. So we want to build the communication platform that allows those people to kind of get in one spot, no judgment zone, just to kind of be there and support each other and learn from each other.
Very cool. Very cool. And the experts, where are you finding these people?
Uh, Well, so it's a wide variety of places. For instance, we work with various service providers to help them communicate and collaborate with their patients and the people that come through our platform because we have kind of a shared uh, target audience. So we're just constantly working with them and building that network. Right now, we work with probably 50 of the best spine surgeons in the country, communicating and collaborating. So, it's just over time, we're just going to continue to add individuals to our roster, tell them what we're doing, how can we help you, how can you help us, and just, work together to really, at the end of the day, our common goal, regardless of what side of the fence you're on, is to destroy back pain. So,
In that final part, what's involved
uh,
in that?
so the digital therapeutics. So that's to me that's the most exciting part of it because that's kind of like the cherry on top and is what is extremely um, lacking right now within the back pain industry. So for me, I had to become my own back coach. I had to figure everything out from start to finish because I would go to my doctor's appointments and I would only get a sliver of that, right? You have 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minutes with your doctor, and they tell you what they want to tell you at that point, and then it could be right, it could be wrong. And just a quick story about that was after my third herniation, uh, I had gone to a couple different doctors, and really my whole thing is like it's the rule of three. I want to go to three different experts in each discipline to get their opinion, so I can make an informed decision. So I'd gone to an orthopedic doctor, and he was the first one in the at that time that I had gone to after my herniation. I got my MRI, and he comes in and says, "Yeah, you're not dreaming it up. Your a disc is definitely herniated, and but no problem. Within 2 months, I could have you all fixed up and pain free. We'll fuse you up, and you'll be doing anything you want within 2 months." Well, had I been an uninformed patient at that time, I would have jumped at that opportunity because desperate to get fixed and be pain free, that would be an amazing opportunity. But knowing how fusions work and how, you know, an unrealistic time plan 2 months is, I called him out on it. And I said, why are you even suggesting such a thing in such an unrealistic time plan? And he said, well, you're more than happy to get a second opinion. And every time I called him out on something new, that's all he had to say. So one of two things. Yeah, right. And that's just my experience. And I know from trolling the forums, hearing other people having to go through 8 or 9 surgeries because they made a bad decision the first or second time because of doctors and surgeons that truly weren't providing them the best solutions at the time. And so I said to him, I said, hey, what about disc replacement? Because disc replacement offers, a huge amount of benefits. He said, well, again, you're more than welcome to, get another opinion. And I said, look, in my industry, if I don't continually educate myself and become skilled in additional areas, I'd be obsolete. I said, so disc replacement should be in your wheelhouse right now, offering that to patients. So it's just like I said, just kind of one example of how there needs to be kind of someone that's in your corner walking you through the process and giving you kind of all the different options that are out there. So the digital therapeutics platform really is you come in and you work with a back wellness coach, and then they work with you and your care team, whether it's your surgeon, chiropractor, massage therapist, physical therapist, to make sure that everyone's on the same page, you're communicating, collaborating. Every part of the journey that you're going through is, informed and making the right decisions. And at the end of the day, our goal is to decrease healthcare costs while increasing patient outcomes.
I love, I guess, your tagline, "Destroy back pain" as well. That was really powerful too. A lot of things I want to get to. So in those conversations, how did that doctor take that? Like, I mean, I heard what you said, but were they like, "Screw you"? Like, I'm the doctor. Like, what do you know? Like, did you go back to that doctor? Like, how did that conversation go? Other than you can get a second opinion.
So, so my little kicker to him was like, oh, all right, buddy, sign me up for the surgery. And, I had scheduled it, 30 days in advance, knowing that I would just go back and just mess up with his quota and say I'm going to cancel it. So that was kind of my little jab to him back. But yeah, I mean, I purely was a number to him at that point, right? I was just, kind of a check mark on the schedule, and here I can fuse you up, and it may have worked, right? I may have been pain free, but it wasn't going to take 2 months, that's for sure. And there was no guarantee that that was going to happen. There are people that have fusions and end up having failed back issues, as well as having to have multiple surgeries in the years to come because the levels above and below end up degenerating faster, and now you're in the same position again.
Gotcha. Okay. How did the back issues start?
I can't say for sure. I think it was kind of half heredity and half me beating the crap out of my body. I ran Division I track, indoor and outdoor hurdles. So I beat my body up. I was a gym rat, constantly playing basketball, football, softball, golf, whatever, any sport, that I could play, I would play it. So I think kind of over time, my body just got to the point where enough was enough. But I think the first herniation actually occurred when I was coaching my son's baseball team. And this one kid was rounding third, and he was running like he had a refrigerator on his back, so he was running super slow. So I just ran beside him, picked him up, and ran with him home. And I think when I did that, I think I put too much weight kind of on the back because I was leaning forward at the time, and I think that was kind of the first herniation. And because the disc was so degenerative, it was just kind of a domino effect over time because it wasn't gonna. I look at it as rotten wood. It's not going to heal. You may be able to do the microdiscectomy where they snip off the herniation that's touching the nerve, but if your disc is crap, your disc is crap. And so, luckily after the 3 herniations and the 3 microdiscectomies, I was still able to have a structure in place to support a disc replacement.
So the years of a lot of wear and tear on it just built up in that one time when the refrigerator was on the back from that kid running, and then you put another refrigerator on your back.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, got it.
Yeah, and I think and going back to kind of the guidance, in my late 20s, and when I had my first herniation, I was like I think I was 34. In my late 20s, I had some, back tightness and whatnot, and I went to go, get an MRI, and they said, well, you have 2 degenerative discs. But the guy at the time said, don't worry about it. He's like, you can continue to do anything that you want. Well, that necessarily wasn't the case. Like if the doctor said, look, you'll probably be okay, but, if we're going to be cautious, you could, do more stretching. You could not beat the crap out of your body as much as you do. I probably could have, extended the life of that disc a little bit longer hadn't I just beat the crap out of my body further.
Are you healed now?
I wouldn't say I'm completely healed. I'm never going to be 100%, but I'm pretty close to it. I'm playing tennis. I'm going golfing on Sunday
Lower
with my
impact
son.
sports.
Yeah, for sure. I used to love playing basketball for like 6 hours a day. Just just running and gunning. But those days are over. But it feels awesome just to get back to life of even doing the simple things, sitting in a bleacher, for a couple hours and not feeling pain. Or just taking a walk around the neighborhood and whatnot. So it's been a little over a year since the disc replacement surgery, but I'm back at the gym lifting weights. Like I said, playing tennis, playing golf, enjoying life big time with my family.
You seem to be one that educates yourself a lot, not only on this topic but others as well. Does that make like I think that's a unique factor. That's a unique trait to you because not everyone. Some people just go to the doctor and be like, "All right, cool, that's what I'll do, whatever." You seem to want to know why. You seem to want to know more details about everything. Like, eh, where did that come from? Where did you wanting to be so knowledgeable about specific topics come from?
Gee, that's an interesting question. No one's ever asked me that, and I never really thought about it. I think it comes down to that I want to make sure that like whatever decision is being made is the right one, and I'm not just going to do it. Sure, I've made bad decisions in my life as everyone has, or I've made off the cuff decisions. But when it comes to your health, for sure, there are so many factors that are impacted by it, and it's a business. People are there for their own agendas, so you got to make sure you're there for your own agenda and looking out for yourself. So I think from a health standpoint, yeah, I want to be the smartest person in the room, and I may not have a PhD or an MD to go with it, but I'm going to talk. I'm going to go round for round with them when it comes to conversations to make sure that they're not calling me out on stuff. And even that's just interesting that now that I think about it, that's kind of the same way with business stuff. I'm not the hardcore programmer that does the back and ones and zeros, but I know enough over the years to sit down with a developer or a technology guy and know whether or not they're giving me any fluff.
I appreciate that. BackerNation.com is the website. BackerNation, when you got that domain, was it available or did you have to buy it from someone?
No, that was available. There were other iterations that I was trying to get at, Back Nation and whatnot. But how I looked at it is at that time I was trying to create some type of um, persona, I guess, with the individuals that would be participating. So I looked at it like, we're all in this together. We're backers. That we're kind of like a group of individuals.
It's a good domain name. I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's why I asked that question.
Yeah, great.
If it
Thanks.
was available. What's the business model for Backer Nation? How do you guys make money?
Long term, our goal is to partner with insurance and payers. So on a monthly basis, a membership fee that they would pay to have a subscription to the digital therapeutics. So whether it's $50 or $65, wherever we land with that, that way, those individuals then have access to all of the information and the collaboration tools that allow them to, manage and recover and have ongoing treatment plans for their back. And at the end of the day, the goal is to decrease healthcare costs. And there have been many studies with insurance plans that kind of figure out where you're coming at in the process with your back pain and what experts you go to, and they've shown that if you're a little further along in the process, you're going to save money over time. So with me, for instance, I probably could have saved my insurance hundreds of thousands of dollars if I had done a couple different things sooner in my process. And that's our long-term goals. We want people to get pain-free, enjoying life, and if they can't be pain-free, as close as possible, so that they can have as close a quality of life as they want.
But in the meantime, people just come on. It's free. Nothing, no business model there. So you're trying to build up the user base so that you can then sell to the insurance providers at this
That's
point.
a long-term goal. Right now, we are generating revenue. We work with various service providers because we share a common audience and we kind of understand how that works. So we work with them to kind of do digital marketing services and utilize our platform to connect the dots.
Can you give me a rundown on how that looks?
So, for instance, it could be a surgeon that is looking to connect with workers' comp decision makers, and we'll work with them to create kind of a digital marketing plan to connect with those individuals. And at the end of the day, it helps benefit us as well because we want their end user, which is the back pain patient, to participate, on Backer Nation. So, it varies depending on what type of service provider it is. A surgeon may have a different agenda than a chiropractor, than a massage therapist. But there are different levels of campaigns that we can run with them. And right now we're actually in the process of launching, and we should have it available by September. The biggest specialist finder for back pain online. So if you come in and you're looking for, a disc replacement doctor in Oklahoma, you can type in your zip code and we'll provide all of that information. And then we'll also suggest some other things as well. So, here's a physical therapist, here's a massage therapist, here's some other people that could be part of your care team.
Very cool. I think massages are alone just a good thing for anyone to get, especially people in stressful jobs like entrepreneurship. So that would be really cool to see and other people to do. So how did you fund the business?
Right now, it's funded by myself, and that in conjunction with the revenue that we're generating, we're able to support our team.
Very cool. Content is a big game right now. You guys are betting on it. How do you set your content apart from other providers out there that might be doing something similar on topics that are similar? Maybe not necessarily the entire Backer Nation concept, but how do you set yourself apart with your content to your users?
Yeah, I think being comprehensive is the biggest thing, right? I know that only have so long to attract the interest of the individuals, but once you get there, you want to make sure that you are giving them every aspect of what they need, out of the theme of that piece of information. So when we go through, we want to make sure that we're being as comprehensive and detailed as possible, and then we build kind of the outreach plan around that. So if it's going to appear on social media, here's how we're going to attract with headlines and the different images, and we create kind of this digital plan for each piece of content and where it's going to go and how people are going to access it and what it's going to look like. We have a long way to go, and there's a lot of things that we want to do, but I think we've figured out how we reach the people and attract their interest and get them to the piece of content, and then build a call to action on that piece of content and take them to something else that would be of value as well.
What's the number one question you guys get on the site?
So we're heavy. Actually, what's interesting? There's a couple depending on the kind of the category. One of them is around opioids and CBD oil. So obviously, people are in pain significantly, and they want to kind of figure out now, because regulations and legislation are decreasing the amount of opioids that the doctors can prescribe. People are kind of looking for ways to continue their treatment plan, but also looking for alternatives to that. So there are a lot of people that come on that are looking for stuff related to pain management with drugs, and then alternatives like CBD oil.
So I am on the site right now, and the call to action pop-up that pops up is the advantages of artificial disc replacement over spinal fusion. What percentage of people that come to your site are looking for that specific topic?
Right now, probably like 20 to 30%.
Got it. So that's a pretty heavy number for you. What I'm asking is, if you say the number one thing that people are searching for right now might be opioids, why are you selling them something else as the call to action to start there, I guess?
Yeah, I think so. When it comes to back issues, there's so many moving parts, and there's so many topics. So right now, we're kind of picking and choosing some of the things that we're promoting from a content perspective, and I think obviously because I have disc replacement, and that's a driving factor for some of the stuff that we're working on as well, because we kind of have a resident expert on it, who's is connected, very well connected within that community.
And that's you, right?
That is me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very interesting. What's next for you guys? What's on the horizon? I know you got the directory coming out in September, but how far out are you thinking with this, since it is still in its kind of earlier stages?
Yeah, so I mean, I have this 5-year plan, and I think the industry as a whole, when it comes to back pain, and service providers, are going to be taking a rather interesting turn over the next couple years. And one of the reasons being is that when you have back pain initially, and you strain it or you do something you don't know what it is, there's one of two places that you initially go to. You either go to the ER or you go to your general doctor. And either way, you're going to go down this path that is pretty similar. Either they're going to give you an anti-inflammatory, maybe some pain medication, and they're either going to say, see what happens in the next 2 to 4 weeks and come and go see your regular doctor, or come back to me because I'm your regular doctor. And once you do that, then now and you're still in pain, you're going to be going down the physical therapy route. See, a lot of these people, they know the back generally, but they don't know the back in detail. So the shift that's going to be occurring within the industry is that your first stop is not going to be the ER or a general doctor. Your first stop is going to be some type of primary spine practitioner, someone who is well trained in the back for emergency purposes, general purposes, knows how it works with physical therapy, massage therapy, someone who is kind of that hybrid individual. And our goal is to give access to all the people that need it a whole lot faster to those people, because that cuts down their process and their timeline from getting treatment to fixing their problem.
I know that in some instances, a lot of, even just like this conversation recording through Skype, there's a lot of medical practices now that are diagnosing just through a video like this. In the back world, do you see that kind of scenario happening, or do you think physically people are still going to always have to go in because you're going to have to touch the back, you're going to have to move things around? Or do you see it maybe being face to face like this, and that's how practice can go as well?
Yeah, I think there's a lot that can be done virtually, and part of our digital therapeutics platform integrates the quote unquote telemedicine features in there, so you can communicate and collaborate with someone via video consultation. And yeah, there doesn't have to be this one-on-one physical touch when it comes to your back. There's a lot of things that you as an individual can figure things out. So for instance, I may have lifted up a box wrong last week and I'm still having back pain right now, but I'm not sure what it is. There are some, tests like called a straight leg test, where you can do that at home and kind of see where the pain is radiating from and say, you know what, I may have some type of herniation. And if you fall into that bracket, there are these are the 4 next steps you need to do. And if you don't, and you still have back pain, well, here's the other steps. So we want to create those action plans that are not necessarily giving them medical advice, but giving them direction of things that they can potentially do to figure things out for themselves, and then point them to the resources, the brick and mortar resources that they can go to afterwards.
How do you get the insurance involved? I mean, that's a big business model for you. That's a big revenue generator for you. How do you get the insurances to say yes to Backer Nation?
We have to prove out our model, and I think that there are certain studies that have already been done that point to it. And right now we're in the process of talking with a handful of insurers and payers to come on for a pilot, so we can then showcase what we're doing, show some results, and then scale that up afterwards.
Very cool. Let's shift things a little bit and talk specifically about Resio. What keeps you up at night? Not back pain anymore, right?
Not back pain, no. So what keeps me up? My 3-year-old coming in at 3 a.m. saying to go cuddle him. But from a business standpoint, really is just I was a hurdler in track, and I kind of look at business the same way. The reason I love running the 400 hurdles is because I was a sprinter and I always had that one goal in front of me. And once I hit that hurdle, boom, I'm on to the next one as fast as possible. So what keeps me up at night is kind of looking at our long-term model and trying to figure out how I get to the next hurdle and over that hurdle as quick as possible so I can get to the next one because I know that each of those hurdles represents a stage in our company towards growth, and I want to finish off, pretty strong.
It's always interesting how fitness and business are so similar, yet we don't always kind of, gel them together. What's something in life that you want to do that you haven't done yet?
Uh, I think it's kind of just the bigger version of it, but I would definitely like to take, a month off and go travel Europe.
Very cool. You just had that one 3-year-old child?
No, actually, we have four. We have a 19-year-old boy, 18-year-old girl, 10-year-old boy, and a 3-year-old boy.
Wow. You got your hands tied.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's awesome, and we have some great times together.
Where did you grow up? In the Pittsburgh area?
I grew up in Scranton, PA,
Okay.
so now famous for the from The Office
Second,
and Dunder Mifflin.
yep, second greatest TV show of all time.
Oh, it's the first one.
Well, I'm a Lost fan, so but they're two very different shows. Did you ever watch Lost?
I had for a little bit, but I never got fully into it. But my oldest always talks about it, and because he binge watched it on Netflix, and says you really need to get back into this.
It's always an interesting show, and recently I realized that The Office is on TV like every night, so I can watch a couple episodes
On Comedy Central.
Oh, is that what? Yeah. So
I think it's on Comedy. Yep.
oh, that show is really funny. What is something that really keeps you going, excites you?
So for these past several years, life was kind of tough. Back pain really drained me. People would say, "Hey, you want to go do this? You want to go do that?" And I'd be like, "No, no, no." But now I'm kind of in yes mode. So whether it's my wife planning trips or my family saying do X, Y, and Z, or me getting motivated. So right now, the excitement, in my life, aside from growing Backer Nation, is that I get to pretty much do whatever I want, and that I should have been doing these past several years. This weekend, going to fishing derby with my son and the Boy Scouts, something that would have been painful in the past. Right after that, we're probably going to go hiking somewhere. I'm going to get up in the morning on Sunday and go golfing. So, I'm just trying to stay as active as possible and kind of catch up. I just keep saying, everyone's like, well, Jay, you just keep doing all this stuff. I'm like, I'm just catching up on life.
How did you turn that leaf? Was it just because of the surgery?
Yeah, I mean, when you are in constant pain, and this pain literally that I had, and many others that have herniations or degenerative disc symptoms, depending on what level they're at, is just like as if you have an ice pick that's just riding your nerve, and your nerve is just inflamed and in pain the entire time. So I mean, it would just be painful just to sit down, and just think about having that pain 24 hours a day, now extended to 48 in a week, in a month. It becomes tiresome, and you just I was in a mode of survival mode, just trying to figure out how I remain productive while still trying to keep my responsibilities with both family and business.
So
and doing that, then there was no playtime. There was no fun time for me. We would go on little family trips, like for instance we went to Niagara Falls, and it was painful to go, and but I still did it, and my legs are shaking as I'm trying to hang out with the family while we go down water slides. So it's just nice to just do things now and not sit and not think about the pain or have any pain, and just just be normal.
interesting. Did I see a story about back pain and suicide that when I was looking through?
Um, there might be. I know that there's definitely some stuff related to depression, and how it definitely leads to putting you in a really bad spot. And for sure, I mean, I through our text line that we have, our back pain helpline, we get those people. There was an individual that had contacted us from California that his doctor had cut him off from his opioids, and he was having withdrawal, and he was not only in pain, but now he was dealing with the symptoms, from the withdrawal, and he was in a really bad spot.
The opioid crisis is crazy. I've been learning a lot about it. I didn't know much about it until recently, and I had actually I tore three ligaments in my foot, my ankle, a few years ago, and I was on one of them. I can't remember which one it was, but it's crazy. So a lot of people that come to you are on opioids, and then are trying to get off. Like, what do those scenarios typically look like?
Yeah, it kind of really depends on where they're at in their back pain journey. So if they've been dealing with it for years, um, and it's pretty bad, they've probably been on some type of pain medication. But now because of the crisis, now they're either their doctors have cut them off cold turkey, which then creates a whole new set of problems on top of the pain, or they've been weaning them off. And so, like I said, people are constantly looking for ways to fight the pain and get through their life. And I think that topic brings up something that's really critical about back pain in general. And it goes back to understanding all that you need to understand about you personally as it relates to your situation so you can make those right decisions, because there are so many people that made bad decisions because they were, I don't want to say naive, but they trusted their healthcare providers so much with the direction that they should take that it led them into a domino effect of bad things to come. Whereas someone who may have been able to put off getting a fusion versus a microdiscectomy early on could have avoided 5 or 6 surgeries after that had they known some information prior and been part of the decision making process, as opposed to being told this is what you should do and you should just go do it.
And if you think about it, medical bills are probably one of the second or third most expensive bills of your entire life. Yet many, just like you're saying here, question the medical world. Like, why does it seem so corrupt in that kind of way?
Because it's a business, right? Everyone is trying to make sure that they're making their quotas and that they're covering their operations and being profitable. And for sure, there are surgeons out there that I know that are killing it when it comes to their volume of surgeries that they do on a monthly basis. And if you run the numbers, man, they are just millionaires because of it. But I'd like to think you can still make money, and lots of it, by providing the right solutions for the right situation.